a couple years where there's areas that were okay, areas that were sparse. We have a lot of perennials, that come up and volunteer every year with the crops we grow. And this year they're just going gangbusters, just like crazy. I don't know if it's because of the electroculture we put in last year, but everything's like really full and ahead of schedule, or maybe it was the eclipse.
Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing what's happening though. I'm excited.
Yeah. It's interesting too, because we got a lot of rain late into winter, and then it went right to summer, and it's on our 6th day now, Bear, of hitting into the 90s. It's like we skipped spring altogether. It's really interesting. The weather is definitely being messed with, but also I agree, Cathy, and I'm going to hit record in a second. We're feeling it. We're feeling this, and I'm excited for this talk today because we're feeling the strong resonance of awakening happening all around us. And I know we can affect the weather too with our consciousness, and the more that we can get in tune with that, the better. And that, of course, directly affects how our crops grow and everything. So I'm excited for this. I'm going to hit record and fire the talk up. Here we go, guys.
Separation deep within my bones brought me to my knees, crying out for hope beyond the garden. Somehow through my tears you heard the words I could not speak. You were there to rescue me. I turned from you, and still you.
During this first part, when her eyes keep opening wide and she looks really nervous right at the beginning, that he mentions electroculture related to the garden, to farming and stuff like that. Cathy was, and Kelly too, were electrocuted many times. So that could very well be code words to keep her under. Because I noticed that she closed her eyes and then she opened them. And you could see the whites around the eyes. It was Mark Phillips that told me years ago that if you want to know if someone is under mind control or have been under mind control, look at their eyes. And if you can see the whites around their dark part of their eye, that's a very good gauge. And if you go back and look at some of these MK Ultra people who have committed school shootings, I don't want to say too much here, but if you look back and you look at a lot of them, you'll see their eyes just before they did it, if they took pictures of themselves or something. And their eyes will be wide open with the white shut around it. And so when I came to look at this video tonight, my husband looked at it too, and he said, that doesn't sound like, or that don't sound like Cathy. And so I did some close-ups showing her eyes, because that's the first thing I noticed. After I'd gone through and just kind of did a little background research on these people, and I'm not saying they're bad people or anything, so, don't take that wrong. They may be, just deceived. But they're all into that, their guests that they've had on, they've all been like, different frequencies and one consciousness and just a lot of the words that you get used to when you've done some research on this. Now, after the first part of this, Cathy's eyes kind of level out. And she's in her groove that she's used to being in. And that is to tell her story. And she knows that by rote. It's memorized. It's embedded in her psyche. And Cathy is a beautiful person. But the people who programmed Cathy are not. Her handlers are not. good people. And they're every single one of them that I know of for a fact are New Agers. So they have probably programmed this into her. So I'm going to stop there, but I want you to. This was the people that she was on the show with. So first she kind of had her eyes shut like that. And then I'm just going to show you a couple here. And you can see her eyes. And it was like she would shut them, and then the next time they would open up wide. And so that was out of Mark's own mouth. And I've heard Cathy talk about it too. These are not real good pictures because it's from a distance. But, she was on that venue about eyes wide shut, eyes wide open. She's been being taken to places. In fact, the people in this video later on talk about a previous time that they had in Nashville, Tennessee, which was a very big mind control programming thing for Cathy. She's been taken by MacDill Air Force Base, which is another place where she was programmed. She's been taken to Mount Shasta and all over the place. And in her book, if you read it, she was taken all over the place. She was taken to Nashville. She was taken all over the place. It's almost like it's happening all over again to her. And I was told by a young woman who I truly believe is Cathy's real daughter. And she has quite a story to tell. And I've been speaking with her for quite a while now. And I do believe that she is the real deal. Cathy has spoken online about planting a garden with her daughter. I never heard Cathy ever talk about planting gardens before. I know that Cathy loves Kelly very, very much. I mean, I've talked to her too many times to know. But there's a real possibility that they have programmed her to accept someone else as Kelly. And she thinks she's planting a garden with her daughter, when in reality she hasn't seen her daughter in many, many, many years. The young woman that lived with Mark and Cathy for many years, I can't remember just when she went there, maybe 2008 or something, but not sure. The trauma that Cathy has been under could lead them to make any kind of suggestion. And I know people don't want to believe this, and I don't want to believe it either. But, and I've been hearing Cathy's story all these years. She's a beautiful person. But she even said herself that people could be re-accessed and taken under. There's a lot I don't know, and I'm not claiming to know. But I do not believe that Cathy is in control of what she does anymore. I think that in this persona, where she tells her story, is probably the closest she gets to being herself. That is possible. But according to Kelly, they're still torturing to keep her under. So I'm asking for all of you to pray for her.
Can MK Ultra be used in a way to make you believe something happened when it didn't really happen?
They attempt that. And in my experience, I was manipulated that way, and there's such a thing that can be implanted false memory.
Did you ever have like an extraterrestrial or a reptilian or a gray alien experience that you later found out was a false or fake implanted memory?
Yes, when Bush had told me that he was a lizard alien, why not? That's easy enough to believe. And to have seen a holographic illusion created at the time enhanced it that much more. But in the deprogramming process and writing out the memory and going into, how did I get there? Where did I go after? Asking myself the questions, I was able to go back and remember the setup to the situation and the events, how my mind had been manipulated in that regard.
But what are the limits? What else can people be made to believe?
Well, one thing is really clear. You can control the person's experiences, and they don't know they're being controlled. That's why this technology is a potentially powerful one and has a two-edge to its sword. What we've been doing recently is generating words as magnetic patterns. And even though the person isn't hearing it through their ears, their brain is interpreting it. So they're actually having fragments of experiences as if they're hearing it when in actual fact it cannot be. If you stimulate the deep portions of the temporal lobe, so you can get very, very vivid imagery, and the emotional commitment or the emotional sensation as something as profound, real, cosmically real, and personally significant. Get into the philosophical argument that God created them and they have to be real, or does God exist? Because it's really an irrelevant argument in this particular context. The critical thing is, if people will kill others because they think their mystical experience, their God experience was true, shouldn't we know the brain mechanisms responsible for that?
Can MK Ultra be used in a way to make you believe something happened when it didn't really happen?
They attempt that. And in my experience, I was manipulated that way, and there's such a thing that can be implanted false memory.
Did you ever have